everyone. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos at work week, just about in the rearview mirror. We got LSU baseball to talk about because the College World Series is starting up in less than 5 minutes. We will head up to Omaha at the end of this hour and chat with Jimmy Ott. Appreciate Reb for providing our coverage from Omaha for as long as LSU can hang out up there. We still got some other guys we want to talk to as well. Michael Covel is in Omaha. He's meeting with the LSU team right now at Nebraska, Omaha. They're going through their workout today. And Covel was chatting, last I saw, with Tommy White. That's what Twitter tells me. So we'll chat with Covel at 2 o'clock. Ben McKee covers Tennessee for GoVols 247. He's going to join us in 30 minutes to talk about this Tennessee baseball squad. So we are a lot of baseball today. We'll talk a little football recruiting in the second hour as LSU's got a big-name visitor on campus this weekend. But mainly, we're talking College World Series because that is about to fire up from Omaha, like I said, in less than 5 minutes with TCU and Oral Roberts. But we're going to start with LSU and Tennessee. We got word yesterday the Vols will go with Andrew Lindsey as the starter in Game 1. I think as the week has gone on, since Tennessee won Game 3 in Hattiesburg on Monday night, when you hear Tennessee and you think Game 1 in Omaha, I think most LSU fans think Chase Dollander. That's the first name that comes to mind. We had one of the best regular season environments in the history of Alec Box Stadium on a Thursday night a couple of months ago with Chase Dollander and Paul Skeens, and it was an incredible baseball game. But after Tennessee went 5-10 in league play, Tony Vitello looked up and said, this ain't working. We went out west and lost 2 of 3 to open the season on opening weekend. We're off to a terrible start in conference play. We need to fix this. So they shuffled the weekend rotation. And what they did was they announced that Andrew Lindsey would start the first game, and he didn't even announce a starter for the next 2 games. He said, not Dollander, not Burns, not Beam. We're not announcing anybody. We're throwing Andrew Lindsey in the first game of this series, and then we'll see. And ended up, they went with Chase Dollander second, and they went with Drew Beam third, and they moved Chase Burns back to the bullpen. You know all that by now. But that's the way they've played this thing. And after a 5-10 conference start, they went 11-4 the rest of the way to get to 16 league wins. And they threw it this way in the regional with Andrew Lindsey in Game 1 in a 2-3 game and Chase Dollander in Game 2. And they did it in the super regional. And quite frankly, Andrew Lindsey has pitched better than Chase Dollander this year. Now, Dollander's had some gaudy outings. Against South Carolina, he struck out 13. That was the last weekend of the season. And he's the more talented pitcher. He will be drafted more highly than Andrew Lindsey. But LSU's had plenty of guys that were drafted ahead of Jared Poche, and they'd rather put Poche out there on the mound, right? And trust me, Lindsey's not exactly Poche, but in terms of just draftability, Dollander's going to go ahead of him. But Lindsey is a really good pitcher. He's got a fastball that's up to 97, sits around 94, 95. He's got a breaking ball that's a little bit inconsistent. I've seen some really good ones. I've seen some not so good ones. And he's got a changeup that fades pretty good away from the left-handed hitters as a right-handed hitter. By now, you probably know that LSU faced Andrew Lindsey back on March the 31st. It was Game 2. Chase Burns got through 3 1/3, but LSU got that pitch count elevated close to 80, and Andrew Lindsey was the next man up for Tennessee in that game. Lindsey worked 4 2/3 innings. He gave up 5 hits and a run. He had a walk and a strikeout. Oddly, with Andrew Lindsey, the strikeout numbers don't match the pitch arsenal to me. When I think of a guy that throws 97, that does have a breaking ball and does have a changeup, I think of a guy that's going to miss a lot of bats and get a lot of strikeouts, and he just hasn't really. Last week against Southern Miss, Andrew Lindsey was okay. He was just okay. He pitched in Game 1 of the Super. He threw 4 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. He struck out 5 and walked 1. That's the game that got delayed in the middle. I don't know how deep he would have gone in the game, but that was his line against Southern Miss. Southern Miss got him for a big home run. I think he got up 2 home runs in that game. So you are not seeing a true, legit ace in this game. Quinn Matthews for Stanford is an ace, no doubt. Paul Skeens for LSU is an ace, no doubt. Brandon Sproat or Hurston Waldrop, either one of those guys you want to go to, those guys are aces. And I think those are mainly the guys who are the top of the food chain here. And Dolander would fit that from a stuff standpoint, not necessarily from a number standpoint. And Lindsey doesn't either. But make no mistake, Tennessee is not pitching off here. And Tennessee is built so that they could come out of the loser's bracket if they needed to. They can go with Lindsey today. They can go with tomorrow. They can go with Dolander on Monday. They can go with Beam on Tuesday. They can go back to Burns. They can go Halverson for an extended outing. They've got enough guys that throw really hard and can get guys out that they can get through this bracket. Tennessee led the nation, led the nation in ERA. Make sure I've got that. No, number 2 in the country in ERA. Wake led the country. Tennessee was number 2 in the country in ERA and WHIP. So this pitching staff is very, very deep. They just haven't been as eye-catching as they were last year, I think. So with Lindsey, I think LSU is okay. I expect LSU to do what most teams this year have done with Andrew Lindsey, and that's put up a pretty good fight. I'll go back through some of the outings that Andrew Lindsey has pitched. His best outing of the year was the last weekend of SEC play. That was when he faced South Carolina, went 8 1/3, 3 hits, shutout, but only 5 strikeouts, like I mentioned. That's what I'm talking about. Like 8 1/3, his best outing, a shutout performance, 5 strikeouts. Against Kentucky the week before that, he was pretty good, 6 2/3. He gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. But, Georgia, he only lasted 4 innings. Mississippi State, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs. Vanderbilt, 6 2/3, 6 hits, 3 runs. Arkansas, 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs on 4 hits. They're just solid outings. He doesn't routinely work into 7th and 8th. He doesn't routinely strike out 10. In fact, he only struck out 10 twice this year, once against Vanderbilt, once against Charlotte. He doesn't routinely throw shutouts. This is a guy that I think Tennessee, and I'll ask Ben McKee what he thinks when we have him on here shortly. This is a guy in Andrew Lindsey that they would love to get 5 innings of 2-run baseball out of. And at that point, if they've scratched 1, 2, or 3 against Skeens, they will turn it over to Chase Burns. I think that's what Vitello is thinking. If they get to a situation where they can extend Burns and try to slam the door on LSU, they will do that. They've got Halverson as a stud reliever that can relieve Dolander on Monday, and that doesn't put them in sort of a precarious spot pitching-wise. That's probably the way this works in Tony Vitello's head. If I can get 5 from Lindsey, then maybe 1 from Camden Sewell, and then 3 from Burns, that's great. And if Burns has got to throw 70 pitches or 60 pitches or whatever the case may be, and isn't really ready to go on Monday, that's okay. I've got enough guys with my staff that's number 2 in the country in ERA. I can start Dolander. Maybe he gives me 8. Maybe he gives me 6. But I can come back with Halverson if I need to. And that's the way that they worked it against LSU the first time around. Halverson really extended in that first game, and he went 52 pitches. So that's very much doable for this Tennessee team. That's, I think, the roadmap. It's LSU's job to knock that roadmap out of the car and score some runs early, have Skeens go out there and shove, and put Tennessee in a position where they may start to think about conserving relievers. That's obviously the goal. That's what you did to Kentucky in the Super, is you bashed a bunch of homers behind Skeens. He dominated. That's what you did to Tulane in a game where Skeens kind of dominated. I don't want to compare Tennessee to Tulane necessarily, but you get the picture. That's the roadmap for LSU. The longer Tennessee can stay in this thing and maybe get a lead, that's when you're going to see Chase Burns running on in from the bullpen. So there's still plenty to get to. I want to talk a little bit about this Tennessee offense here coming up. And I watched a lot of them last night. I poured myself a cocktail, and I went through a lot of Tennessee baseball, and I took notes, and I've got stats to back some things up. And I think I learned a little bit last night about Tennessee just by going back and watching a lot. So they are just about to get underway from Omaha, Nebraska. That looks like a full stadium to me on a cloudy Friday afternoon. Oral Roberts, the visiting team. TCU is at home. TCU going with their ace, the freshman. And we'll see how that looks. In this format, you pretty much got to send your guy out there in game one because you got to bring him back as quickly as you can. And TCU has a number one at this point. So they are about to get underway right now. The first pitch is underway from the College World Series. We are playing baseball up there in Omaha. We'll go up there twice. We're going to go to Jimmy Ott at the end of this hour, and we'll go to Michael Covel to start hour number 2 after he has talked with the Fighting Tigers of LSU at their practice. There's Cole Kleeker. He is taking the ball for TCU. We'll take a timeout. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by for a late lunch, drive-through, or eat in their beautifully newly renovated dining area over there at Cork's Government Street between Foster and Jefferson. We come back, more about the Tennessee Bats on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The eve of LSU's return to Omaha. We'll have CWS updates and the Riot Radio Hours return. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, when Tennessee won on Monday, as I told you, I couldn't stay up for the whole thing. I was out of gas after a long super regional weekend at the box and day of work on Monday. I got to the drop pop-up in the Texas-Stanford game, and that was about all I had in the tank. I think I went to sleep in like the 6th of Tennessee and Southern Miss. But when I woke up Tuesday morning and saw that Tennessee had finished it off, there was a part of me that was a little disappointed because I was like, God, that's a really good team they're going to have to open with. I'd feel a lot better like that Skeens would overmatch Southern Miss. I wanted Southern Miss to win the game. I thought Tennessee was a very much a tougher opponent. And so I really dove into Tennessee last night. And here's kind of my takeaway. This is a 43-20 team, a team that went 16-14 in SEC play. They were 33-5 at home, so just domination at Lindsey Nelson. They were 7-13 on the road, and we know that they were really bad on the road until they went to Clemson and won, and then they went to Hattiesburg and won. So they exercised some of those demons in their last two, technically, road weekends of the year. But this is not the Tennessee team of last year. You probably know that, but they graduated and had drafted just a massive amount of offensive talent. This Tennessee offense has some guys that are going to be high draft picks. Maui Ahuna is going to be a pretty high draft pick. Blake Burke's going to be a pretty high draft pick. Zane Denton's going to be a pretty high draft pick. They've got some guys who can swing it, no doubt. But they're nowhere near the juggernaut that they were last year. They're just not. They were number 5 in the SEC in batting, which is good, but they hit 288 as a team. They were number 4 in the SEC in runs per game, so fine. They were 6th in the SEC in hits. They were number 3 in the SEC in home runs. They play in a very home run friendly park. But they're not some sort of absolute juggernauts. Here are their hit totals from the Super Regional. They had 4 hits in game 1 and won it. 4 hits. They lost game 1. They had 4 hits in game 1, 7 hits in game 2, and 6 in game 3. It was not an offensive clinic by any stretch. They had 5 extra base hits in 3 games. 5 extra base hits in 3 games in Hattiesburg. And so it's a fine offense, but it's nowhere near what it was last year. And I went back and watched closely the Skeens-Dolander game. And the first time through, you look at the lineup, at Skeens' line score. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, and a walk. Y'all, Skeens dominated this team. Dominated them. Maui Ahuna struck out all 3 times he saw him, and they were all on fastballs, and he wasn't close to any of them. The 1 run they pushed across, they got 3 hits in the 5th inning. They manufactured a run. The likelihood of Tennessee hanging a 4 spot on Skeens tomorrow is not very good. It is, of course, possible. Skeens hits a guy. Burke hits it 400 feet. There's a 2 spot real quick. They've got I don't expect Paul Skeens to strike out 17 in 9 shutout innings. He could, but the likelihood is that Paul Skeens gives you 7 innings of 1 or 2 run baseball tomorrow. That's what this feels like. Now, Tennessee's going to load this thing up with left-handed hitters. They'll have 5 in the lineup tomorrow. Maui Ahuna's left-handed. Dickey's left-handed. Blake Burke's left-handed. Zane Denton's left-handed. Christian Scott is left-handed. Again, Skeens, you got a switch hitter in there. But they'll have 5 lefties in there. But my nerves that set in Tuesday morning with Tennessee might be more so rooted in last year's team. That might be the case. I feel like Paul Skeens is going to go out there and put a hurt on these guys. That's what it feels like when you look at it. He did it the first time, and I think he'll do it the second time. Kentucky didn't have much success the second time. Arkansas did, but that was, I think, a very difficult game plan to replicate. They fouled off a ton of pitches, and you give them credit for fouling off a ton of pitches in Hoover and getting that pitch count up. I know he came out because of a pitch count, but he was only going to get through like 6 innings of that game because Arkansas did a great job of fouling pitches off and staying in at bats. And if Tennessee can replicate that, they may drive the pitch count up. But Skeens has been very efficient over the last month. There was a time there where he was kind of topping out at 6 innings. He's broken through that, and now he's pitching very deep into games. So the key for Paul Skeens tomorrow against Tennessee is to keep them off the fastball. If he can throw enough breaking balls for strikes and strike threes, he can keep them from cheating to the fastball, which is what they're going to want to do because the odds of them getting 4 or 5 hits in an inning against Skeens are terrible. But they are a team that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they're going to want to cheat to the fastball and drive it out of the yard. You know who did that? South Carolina. And Skeens got pulled because of lightning there, but they hit 2 home runs off of him early. If Tennessee's going to dent Skeens, it's probably going to come from the long ball. And it's really hard to hit the long ball if Skeens commands the breaking ball, shows that they have to be prepared for that, and then that 101 really, as much as 101 can play up, it does play up. Because if you can cheat to 101, you can get there. They're good enough to get there. Southern Miss, I'd have my doubts. Tennessee's got guys good enough. If they're cheating for 101, they can get there. And that'll be a game plan. Trying to manufacture and scrap one here with 3 different executed at-bats is going to be difficult. Pounding one 400 feet is the answer. So for me, Skeens has just got to show the breaking ball. And I feel much better today, having watched what I did and researched the way that I did last night, than I did when I woke up on Tuesday. I just think that the mystique of that team from last year, they're not wearing that uniform anymore. Those guys aren't here. Tennessee's plenty capable of winning the entire thing, and that wouldn't shock me at all. But it would shock me if they jumped all over Skeens tomorrow. You're going to get the horse outing from LSU's ace tomorrow. He's going to rack up strikeouts. He's going to churn deep into this game. And really the key for LSU tomorrow is make sure you get a couple runs early, which everyone else does outside of South Carolina against Andrew Lindsey, who's just been good, not great. Everyone else is getting 3 or 4 on him. You got to get 3 or 4 in the first 4 or 5 innings. Make sure you got a lead, compromise what Vitello can do with his bullpen, and salt the game away with Skeens. Because if you can get a 3 or 4 run lead through 5 or 6 innings, I don't think you're going to see Halverson. I don't think you're going to see Burns. I think you're going to see down the line bullpen pitching. You may not even see Camden Sewell. Because if you feel like, if you're Tony Vitello and you look up and you're down 4 in the 6th, because you've only scored 1 on Skeens through 6 innings, you realize that you might be headed to the loser's bracket, and it doesn't behoove you to send your A guys out there in this game to try to fight and scratch and claw and get back into it when you're going to need to win on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You're going to win 4 in a row in 4 days if you lose on Saturday. Both of these all 4 of those teams are in that spot. You lose on Saturday, you got to win 4 in 4 days. Now, there's a day off, so maybe you go to Halverson or Burns for an inning or 2 because you've got the day off, but that becomes a really difficult decision to make, right? And the same thing applies to Jay Johnson at LSU. However, the likelihood of Skeens going deep into the game far outweighs the likelihood of Andrew Lindsey going deep in the game. if you're just playing percentages. Jay's going to ride this as far as he can take it. And Tennessee would probably be quicker to the hook. So I feel pretty good about this. The question becomes, who does LSU go to the bullpen late in the game? We know that Gavin Guidry has been the guy, but I mentioned that Tennessee's going to have 4 or 5 lefties in that lineup. Is Ackenhausen the guy? Is Cooper the guy? Griffin Herring was phenomenal against Tennessee in Game 2 of that series. He threw 2 innings, struck out 4, no walks. Is the lefty a little bit of a kryptonite for Tennessee, and is that an avenue that Jay wants to explore? I think it very well could be. Now, he may have decided that going to Gavin Guidry for the last 3 outs is what he wants to do. He likes the attitude. He likes the breaking ball. He likes the recent success that Guidry has had. So if you're playing off recent success, you want to go to Guidry, that's fine. If you're playing the matchups and want to make sure that Tennessee's got to look at a left-hander, you now have 3 of those who are throwing the ball pretty well. Cooper's been the best he's been all year. Ackenhausen looks healthy and has been good. And Herring, is maybe a tick down the list. I don't think Javen Coleman necessarily factors in right here because you may need him down the line in a loser's bracket situation. And I don't know how much you want to ramp up that arm. That it doesn't feel like he's a guy who's going to bounce back real quick coming off Tommy John. So I think Coleman's more of a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday play than it is a Saturday play. But the other 3, I think that may help. And that's not a gear that LSU had last year to go to a bunch of lefties. They've got it now. And I think you may see some of that in Saturday's game. But it'll be Paul Skeens as long as he can go out there and still be Paul Skeens. So they're playing up there in Omaha right now. TCU and Oral Roberts scoreless. There are 2 outs in the bottom half of the first inning. Oral Roberts did get a runner aboard, but TCU turned a double play in the first inning. TCU has a runner on and 2 outs in the first inning up there in Nebraska. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I hear this all the time when people are talking about Cork's. They're going, wait a second, this is drive-through seafood in South Louisiana? Don't think about those national chains. This is a local place. Their recipe is born right here in South Louisiana, and I promise you it is a phenomenal dining experience, either drive-through or dine-in. Their fish is not fishy or dirty. It is clean. It is crispy. The Gulf shrimp are big and flavorful, delicious. I love those shoestring fries. They're crispy even out of the drive-through. It's an awesome place to stop by and grab some lunch, maybe dinner. They'll get you out of the drive-thru really, really quick over there at Cork's. It's from the folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue across the river in Port Allen. Medinka Brothers, I've known for basically my entire life, and they are fantastic members of our community down here, and they've got a great new concept. That is Cork's. Over there on Government, between Foster and Jefferson, swing on by the drive-thru and grab some Cork's. They bring you Friday shows each and every week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We will take a timeout. When we come back, we'll go up to Knoxville, chat with Ben McKee, Go Vols 247 next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. I was shopping with David Duvall a couple of weeks ago, and the term he uses, look, we're soup to nuts. And that means, look, we do the entire process on bathroom renovations. You don't have to call 4 different contractors to renovate your bathroom. You call one guy, David Duvall, One Bath and Closets, and he'll finish it. Maybe it's a full-scale renovation. You're ripping up floors. You're changing the plumbing situation. You've got a new shower you want to deal with. They can do all that. They can do the entire renovation. Maybe it's something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. You've got an old, ugly tub that you don't use because you don't have a 1-year-old like I do who takes a bath every night. You want to put a gorgeous walk-in shower? They can do that at One Bath and Closets. Just go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can request a free consultation. You can check out the reviews and look at some of the pictures of their awesome work there. It's onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. What you put me on through, gotta send my love down the
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
On Monday's OTP, we'll either be celebrating or crying. What happened in Omaha? We'll break it all down to the nth detail. And brand new weekend winners. And don't forget Spread Line. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember the Omaha all-name team digging in right now. Holden Breeze for Oral Roberts. Got to be among the top names in the tournament, as we are scoreless in the top of the second between Oral Roberts and TCU. Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. That's where we find Ben McKee from Go Balls 247, covers Tennessee. Ben, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing very well. It's been an interesting year for Tennessee baseball. Has this kind of been labeled a redemption tour of sorts, or is that not brought up from last year?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it, especially when you look at how Tennessee punched its ticket to Omaha. Drew Beam and Chase Burns both played key roles in that win over Southern Miss late Monday night. And if you look back to last year's Super Regional when Notre Dame upset Tennessee, Drew Beam did not pitch at all after he was a National Freshman of the Year. And Chase Burns, he played a key role in allowing Notre Dame to upset Tennessee on its own field. Gave up several key big hits, gave up a key home run. That was also kind of a Lindsey Nelson Stadium special, but still, Notre Dame was able to get to Chase Burns and ultimately win the game because of that. And Drew Beam against Southern Miss, after not pitching last year, was absolutely dominant because of his curveball. Chase Burns came out of the bullpen, and I think everybody in America that follows college baseball saw what he was able to do and the emotion that he showed. So I think that's fair. Last year's team probably should have won the national championship. I know baseball's weird and quirky, and you can't just knight somebody or crown them before they get there. But there's no doubt that Tennessee was the best team, and they came up short. And this year's team, I think because of the motivation of coming up last year's team, did get over the hump and is back in Omaha because of last year. So I think that's a fair way to put it for sure.
5-10 through 15 SEC games, and then they turned it on. I know the rotation switch was a piece of that. Was there something else, some other reason why Tennessee has played better the second half of the year?
Yeah, I think it's several different reasons. Obviously, like you said, the rotation changes and guys fitting into their new roles better and maybe accepting their roles. has been key for the pitching staff. It's finally pitched to its potential, which when it's pitching to its potential, I think Wake Forest would like a say in the conversation, but hard not to pick somebody's pitching staff other than Tennessee's when it's on. But aside from them, the defense has gotten so much better. The defense was such a huge, huge issue. Even the last time Tennessee and LSU played, Tennessee led the SEC in errors this season. And I haven't seen an updated stat since, I guess, the SEC tournament ended, but I still believe Tennessee led the league. And most of those errors were all in the first half of conference play. They've been so much better defensively the second half. And we all know, as people who watch baseball, how important it is to play defense behind your pitcher. And I think it was affecting the pitchers. They were putting too much pressure on themselves because they thought they had to be perfect because some of the errors behind them. But because of some changes in the outfield and transfers within the infield and young players in the infield, that they've matured and become more comfortable over the course of the season and have played better defense because of it. So the defense is a key thing. The pitching is a key thing. The hitting has also gotten better, kind of like I just talked about. A lot of transfers, a lot of young guys in new roles this year. So there was an adjustment period, and now a lot of those guys are playing their best baseball of the year. And we can honestly talk 3 hours about what's changed. And to wrap up this particular short answer as short as possible, I think the biggest thing has been a change in leadership. It wasn't necessarily in a bad place, but it wasn't quite where it needed to be. And because of that, this team didn't handle adversity well. And now you're seeing some guys who are very comfortable in their roles, as a Zane Denton, a Griffin Merritt, Jared Dickey, Camden Sewell. Those guys have really become leaders on this team, and it's allowed them to battle adversity these last couple of weeks and get back to Omaha.
Would you call Andrew Lindsey an ace?
Yes, I would. I hesitate because Tennessee has a guy named Chase Dolander pitching for them in a Game 2 role. But Lindsey's just been better than Doe this year, simply put. And I think enough people are not talking about Andrew Lindsey. I haven't dove into a ton of draft stuff just yet, but I think he's going to be a top 75 pick at minimum. I mean, the guy has been awesome, and he has great stuff. He's high velocity. His fastball has a lot of natural run to it. His sinker is just filthy, and that sinker is high velocity, upper 90s. He's really, really hard to hit. He was one of the guys that LSU's lineup maybe not struggled with, but he had more success against them than a Dolander or Burns that weekend. So he has by far been Tennessee's best, most consistent pitcher in totality when you look at the season as a whole. So I think that's a fair label, which it feels weird because you have Chase Dolander and even Drew Beam coming back from last year, and technically Chase Burns at the beginning of the year, and he wasn't pitching well and is now in the bullpen. But yeah, I think Tennessee is, or Andrew Lindsey is Tennessee's ace, and it's why Tony Vitello is going to roll him out there tomorrow night against LSU's lineup, which I think is the best in the country.
It's going to be a heck of a matchup. I said in my opening monologue that just based on watching a good bit of Tennessee, certainly not as much as you have or as much as Tony Vitello has, but it feels like maybe a roadmap for Tony Vitello would be if Lindsey could give him 5 good 1 or 2 run innings, maybe you steal an inning with Sewell there, and then if you're tied or have gotten a lead, it would be Burns for like the last 3. Does that sound like a reasonable roadmap if Tennessee's going to pitch this thing and win it?
Yes. Obviously, it's a team sport. The pitching staff can't do it all on its own. I mean, there's going to have to be some level of success against Paul Skeens, which seems impossible these days. And that defense that I talked about, which I'm sure you remember Tennessee booting around the ball.
They dropped the ball at first base right in front of Jordan Thompson's 2-run double. So yeah, in the 8th inning of the first game.
Absolutely. Just trying to cover first on a simple PFP, and Christian Moore, the second baseman, if I remember correctly, tried to tag a runner going to second and make the double play and miss the tag. So you haven't seen those type of defensive plays from Tennessee really since they were at that 5 and 10 point in SEC play that you mentioned earlier. And if you caught any of that wild Clemson game a couple of weeks ago, I mean, to think that this team went from what you saw, and look, even 2 weeks later, I saw them in Arkansas Christian Moore and Maui Ahuna up the middle couldn't even complete a flip to one another. And then fast forward to that Clemson game, and they turned one of the most ridiculous double plays I've ever seen. And that literally saved them the game because there's a runner on third, and Clemson thought they had walked off in the moment. But it was a play of inches, and Tennessee went on to win. So I think you can credit that play for essentially saving their season, because they would have had to come to the losers bracket at that point to upset Clemson. To think that they've come that far is pretty crazy. But they're going to have to be this new version of themselves on Saturday night, in addition to the offense trying to find some success against schemes. But it's no doubt it starts with the pitching. And it's weird because I think, like, okay, Lindsey needs to give them 6 or 7, but then I'm also reminded that he's pitching against LSU and that ridiculous lineup. So pitching 5 might be as equal, if it's 5 good innings, it might be equal as 6 or 7 typically great innings. So Lindsey's going to have to set the tone and kind of find a way to lead Tennessee to a win of sorts, but Seth Halverson, who also had success against LSU in March, Camden Sewell, those two guys, I think it depends on when Lindsey is coming out. If it is the 5th or 6th inning, like you said, then yeah, I think it's Halverson or Sewell that we see kind of bridging the gap to a Chase Burns. And then Burns is probably that 8th, 9th inning guy. Now, as we know, the typical traditional closer isn't necessarily what it used to be in baseball. Managers are so much more willing to bring them in the 7th or 8th inning. So if Dylan Cruz is up and LSU's down 1, or the game's tied, or Tennessee's trying to keep it a 1-run game and they're losing, and he's up with a couple runners on, and it feels like that's the moment of the game that will decide the game, then I could certainly see Tony Vitello going to Chase Burns in that moment. But long story short, I mean, it's probably a combination of Lindsey, Halverson, Sewell, and Burns against LSU on Saturday night, as long as things don't get out of control for Tennessee.
Chatting with Ben McKee, Go Vols 247, talking about LSU and Tennessee, 6 o'clock tomorrow from up there in Omaha. We haven't talked about the offense very much, Ben. Who needs to make this team go?
I think it all surrounds around Jared Dickey and Christian Moore. When you look at Tennessee's offensive success, those guys are typically in the middle of it. The beginning of SEC play wasn't too kind for Christian Moore, and Tennessee's now won 20 of their last 26 games, I believe, since they started 5-10 in SEC play, and they had lost the midweek game to Tennessee Tech as well. That was rock bottom for them. And then that weekend they sweep Vanderbilt, and since that point, guys like Christian Moore turn their season around. And it's not just Christian Moore, but I think he's one of the most naturally talented guys on this team and in the SEC, quite frankly. And he just always seems to be in the mix when Tennessee's offense is doing well. And Jared Dickey's been their most complete, consistent hitter all season long. He's a professional up there at the plate. He's definitely their best hitter. But those two guys have to kind of lead the way. And you've seen others emerge as well. Zane Denton, Griffin Merritt. They got off to slow starts this year, but they've been on fire the last month and a half. Blake Burke seems to have found a little bit of something the last week or two. So there's several guys that obviously need to have big games or a nice week for Tennessee to have success. But at the end of the day, I think it kind of starts and stops. There's a correlation to Tennessee's offensive success and failure depending on what Jared Dickey and Christian Moore is doing.
You mentioned that Blake Burke found something. It was a church. It was a church that Blake Burke found in Hattiesburg out over the right field wall. Ben, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the baseball.
Absolutely. I hope you all enjoy the baseball as well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's Ben McKee, Go Vols 247, covering the Vols. I think it's going to be – that stadium is going to be absolutely packed and buzzing for this game tomorrow. This is two big old names, very draftable players. It's going to be a lot of fun up there in Omaha tomorrow. Nothing in the bottom of the second. TCU and Oral Roberts getting things started up there in Nebraska. We'll go there next with Jimmy Ott.
This is On Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by
Join me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Hannegriff. It's live at lunch from the Ameristar Sportsbook. The Monday edition is brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. Monday, live at lunch from Ameristar in Omaha, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Reminder tomorrow on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Eagle 98.1, 3 o'clock, Charlie and Jimmy up there in Omaha. They'll have a special pregame show. They'll go from 3 to 5:30, leading you into the network coverage of the game between LSU and Tennessee. So check them out. We go up to Omaha right now thanks to Rev Business. Chat with our guy, Jimmy Ott. Jimmy, I need to know this immediately. How mad was Charlie on a scale of 1 to 10 yesterday?
17. I told T-Bob and Jake, I even told Charlie, I said, man, I was throwing some digs at you, just, typical deal. And, man, when I saw you, I said, I felt bad, man. Even I felt guilty. I said, man, today is Be Nice to Hanny Friday, man. I mean, he was a wreck when he showed up yesterday, but he's all in his element now, baby. Barrett, Farley, Cole, we knocked off the show. He's having a good time, man. It's packed as usual over here at Barrett's, a typical Friday afternoon.
It's not his first time at Barrett's. It's not your first time at Barrett's either. Has the purple and gold invaded yet?
No doubt. No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, packed for our show today. Last night they got popped pretty good, but a lot more people are traveling today than yesterday. So, yeah, we didn't make it over here last night, but no, there's not a seat in the house. Indoors, outdoors, down by the beach volleyball court. So, no, man, they've made little improvements over at Barrett's too, to the patio area, and they've got all 8 flags outside. LSU's the closest to Leavenworth, and then of course they've got the Deep South Tigers banner in there, and they got some liquor distributor or beer distributor signs, and Welcome Back Tigers in purple and gold in there as well. They're selling a lot of purple and gold Barrett T-shirts over here today as well.
One of the things that we've been talking about a lot this week is how the park's going to play with the way that offense is being played in college baseball this year. We know that there have been about 28 home runs hit the last couple of College World Series. I think it's going to go north of 40 this year. What does your gut tell you?
Wow, really?
I do. I think that these teams are just clubbing these hot baseballs all over the place. Joe Healy from D1 Baseball agreed with me. I know that the pitching's really good, and I don't think Skeens and Louder and Sproat and Waldrop are going to give up a ton of home runs, but I do think that they're going to be a lot of home runs hit.
Yeah, one of the things I want to do when I get to the park, too, is see where these center fielders are playing. And, it's one of them. It was my first game in TD Ameritrade at the time when Michael Conforto, a major leaguer. I mean, he could not have crushed a ball any more than he did. And it was like the medium outfield. I looked at my son like, how are they going to get it out of here? When a center fielder's playing closer to the infield dirt than the warning track, that's a problem. So we've seen early in this Oral Roberts TCU game that they do get it up in the air. It's dying. It's going a little bit further, maybe. But, man, the biggest comp that I'll make is watching the Hoover Met hunt. And over the years, that's probably the closest comp to TD Ameritrade, now Charles Schwab. And we saw some balls hit out of there that were like, ooh, there's a Florida Gator guy, a big booster, said, look, man, our guy's good. He don't hit them that far usually. So the juice ball, everybody agrees. And, man, this is what this tournament needs because it's too pitching dominant. I mean, when you see UCLA completely do what you're not supposed to and pitch up to take advantage of how the park is playing when they won it, when they beat Nolan Bregman and went on to win the whole thing, that was just too much. Bunts left and right. We were talking about it earlier. They have not moved the fences in. It is a little bit of an expense. And, it's Omaha, right after they built it, it was a big deal. It was a big investment in the event. But now, if we don't start seeing a little bit more a hit out of it, you have to consider it because it's just playing so much differently than any of the parks that these guys play in. And look, the same dimensions as Rosenblatt, okay. But, I mean, and who knew, till you actually get in there and play, I mean, developers in Petco, they moved it in twice. Citi Field, they moved theirs in twice. Comerica, Baltimore just moved, left center out. So, that you can't truly know until you actually play in it. But I hope you're right. I'm just saying that's a little bit of a bold prediction, huh? You might give a plus 225 on that one.
I'll take it. I'll take all of it. Where are y'all tomorrow for the pregame show?
Tomorrow, undisclosed tailgate party just outside of Charles Schwab. So plenty of guests. We'll hear more from Skip Bertman, who's being honored at tomorrow night's game in the 6th inning. So Chris DeMuy, Eddie Furness, and we'll get a lot of guests lined up for the game. So we're going to be close since it'll be 30 minutes till first pitch when we get off the air.
Going to be an incredible environment inside that park tomorrow for LSU and Tennessee.
Tickets are crazy high this year.
I'm sure they are. It's just a great field. It's going to be a great tournament. Hopefully LSU is there for the long haul. We know y'all will be. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, Hunt. Thank you, buddy.
Jimmy Ott up there in Omaha all week long next week, however long LSU's there. Rev bringing you our coverage from Omaha. Jimmy and Charlie will be on the air at 3 o'clock tomorrow for a pregame show. So lock it in 104.5 and Eagle 98.1. All right, that's it for a fast-moving hour number one here on this Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll take a timeout for SportsCenter, get you caught up on the stories from around the country, and Michael Covel will join us fresh off a media availability with the LSU Fighting Tigers. Come back after SportsCenter. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Grizzlies guard Ja Morant gets a 25-game suspension to start the upcoming season for conduct detrimental to the league. In May, Morant was seen on social media waving a gun, his second gun-related incident this year. Why wasn't the suspension longer? ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski.
If this was half the season, if this was the entire season, different scenarios people threw out, there wouldn't have been precedent for that. But your history does matter. Ja Morant has been under investigation by the NBA for well over a year on a number of different incidents.
Adrian Wojnarowski on First Take. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Morant will have to meet certain conditions before he's allowed back with the team. Basketball Hall of Famer Michael Jordan is selling the Charlotte Hornets, ending his 13 years as majority owner. If the sale is approved, Gabe Plotkin and Rich Schnall will be the new owners. Second round of the U.S. Open today at the LACC. Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele all tied for the lead at 8 under. Fowler and Schauffele haven't teed off.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, on Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is on Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Government. Delicious fried shrimp and fried fish over there at Cork's. Looking for a late lunch or maybe grab some dinner tonight, make Cork's your spot. I've forgotten how much they try to trick up these CWS broadcasts. We've already had a FaceTime from a major leaguer who I didn't even recognize, who probably played at one of these two schools. We just had to watch the last at bat through the catcher's mask. What we just don't want to do, that doesn't look cool, and I just want to see where they hit the ball, not the catcher's head bobbling everywhere. Just broadcast the game. It's fine. I'm not even listening to what the guys are saying. Just the camera shots have been brutal. That's just another memory of the College World Series. Another memory of the College World Series was at Barrett's Barleycorn 10 years ago in 2013. I was an unsuspecting young sports writer, was at Barrett's and may have had a couple drinks, may have gone out to play some volleyball, and when I returned, someone had taken my phone, had videoed me, and published it to my Facebook page. That man was Michael Covel. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Covel, what young, aspiring journalist are you going to ambush this week?
Only the ones that get 20 beers deep. I'll just have to put the disclaimer out now. Now I think they probably go home and cry. At least you had a little bit of fun with it. But,
I was having a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun at Barrett's.
You were. I'm not even sure you knew what planet you were on, but you were volleyballing the hell out of it.
Playing some sand volleyball. It came on my Facebook memories today, and I watched it. I don't think the Team USA Olympic squad is going to be calling me up anytime soon. So onward and upward. You're up there in Omaha. Met with the team for the 476th time this week today. Are they tired of talking yet?
They have certainly worked the people down the ladder as far as who we're talking to now. We talked to Tommy White and Ty Floyd this afternoon. So I told Matt Trent, who's with me, I was like, I don't think I've talked to Tommy White in 2 months. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely different.
So Skip used to say you got to go up there and lose before you win. In this day and age, the transfer portal guys moving in and out, rosters shifting all the time. I think that obviously there just aren't a lot of teams that are going to go with the same group 3 different times. What do you get the sense about this team and how they'll adjust and adapt to Omaha?
Well, kind of just working with them throughout the course of the year, I get the feeling a little bit of 2019 vibe, and that it just feels like a professional team that is already kind of understanding what it takes to win at a high level, right? Obviously, Steens and Cruz set the tone, but the rest of the guys follow. And you have talented young guys that contribute, but you also have a lot of 5-year guys that have the battle scars and, quite honestly, the surgery scars, to kind of understand not to take any of it for granted and that you got to really get out there every day with it. I feel like this team is equipped mentally. Obviously, Jay does a big job mental preparation almost as much as the physical. And I just feel like they're in a good headspace. They've got talent. They're loose, which I always like in a baseball team. It feels like they're in a good spot.
Josh Pearson was wearing some weird jersey today. Did you get a chance to ask somebody about that?
I did. He was wearing, thank you. He was wearing a Buzz Lightyear Space Rangers jersey. So I asked friend Joe Bear, I was like, what's up with the Lightyear jersey? He's like, he looks like Buzz Lightyear. I was like, holy crap, he does look like Buzz Lightyear. So they call him Buzz on the team, and they got him a Buzz Lightyear jersey. I don't know who picked it up, or if they bought it here, or if they brought it with them. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Every team's got to have a Buzz. They had Buzzy Heidel in 09, and they got it done. So maybe that's that's the key. Maybe the key is Paul Skeens. They're going to pitch him tomorrow. I know y'all have had a chance to talk to him about the Dick Hauser Award and all that kind of stuff, but any reason to believe he'll be anything but brilliant tomorrow?
No, there's really not. And I think that's the thing, right? Jay talked about, when I asked him last week, what do you appreciate most about Paul Skeens? He says his reliability, and that really says a lot when you think about it in the context of what that guy has provided to this team. Consistent winning, but also a consistent person, a consistent message. Just a guy that's really been out front, isn't afraid to stay out front and set the tone and tenor for the team. And he's delivered. He's delivered in every sense of the word. Like, I just feel like as good as he is, we still take him for granted because he has been so darn consistent.
One of the things for me that stuck out that I don't know that we've talked about a lot is his demeanor and the stoic nature with which he pitches and dominates. Aaron Nola was kind of the same way. You never saw huge fist pumps or running off the mound or yelling at opposing hitters or anything. It's just that deliberate deal, and that to me makes dealing with failure a little bit easier when you always stay on the same level. Is that a fair comparison I'm making?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we talked about, Matt asked me who's the best LSU pitcher I've ever seen, and Nola certainly came to mind, and they're just so completely different in the way they go about it. I think yes. He hasn't had a lot of failure to deal with, so that's not necessarily an issue, but I think he's realistic. And I think perspective is the big thing that Paul has. He understands what he's doing. He understands where he is, why he is there, who has helped him get there. He's appreciative of his past, and he understands, that he has a huge opportunity in his future. So I just feel like there is a lot of perspective about him, and he's able to maintain that composure when he's out there on the mound.
What's the key for LSU this week?
I think timely hitting and situational hitting, and honestly, not trying to get home runs. That Tulane game showed a lot to me in LSU's ability to kind of move it around, spray it around. And that's what you got to do here. You got to play clean on the defensive end, and you got to hit it where they're not. And it is a big ballpark. I don't care what you say about the balls and the changes and stuff. It still plays big. The skirt's big. The outfield's big. There's a lot of range. So, but you got to make contact. You got to put it. And I can't wait to see how coaches use the shift and align the defenses and those kinds of things, because I feel like this is where it really matters.
You gonna get a Jell-O shot this week?
I probably won't. We're definitely gonna go over there. It's right by the ballpark.
Yeah.
Actually, we were driving by yesterday, and Matt's like, "Oh, there's Rocco's." I was like, "Oh God, I've eaten there before. I didn't even realize that was the place." So yeah, man, it's all the rage. I asked Jay today, "You keeping up with the Jell-O shot challenge?" He says, "I don't even know what that is." That's a good answer.
Oh,
Coach.
come on. That's such a Saban answer. Just admit you've seen people having a lot of Jell-O shots.
Hunt, he is locked in, my friend. He is not falling for your volleyball traps.
Well, I hope he's not embarrassed at 1 o'clock in the morning. We'll see about that. But it's like when Saban said he didn't know it was election day. It's like, come on, man. You can act like you've seen outside the walls of your office one time. But
not this guy. Not this guy.
Tell us what's going on with Channel 2. I know y'all got a team up there.
Yeah, it's Matt and I here. We've been here since Wednesday, I think. What is today, Friday? Yeah, we've been here since Wednesday, and so we'll be here for as long as they're here, obviously. 6 and 10 every night. We'll be doing it in news and in sports. And we're going to be live tonight, bringing you both. Last chance to talk to the team. Going to talk a lot about the team meeting they all had post-SEC tournament and how it kind of changed the perspective for everybody. that the time is now, and we are the guys. Let's get it done. And then a little bit about that focus that you talked about with Jay Johnson, why he's so locked in, laser focused, and what it does for his team.
Is there a lot of purple and gold up there yet?
It's some, it's not bleeding over, right? It's funny. We went out to eat last night, and there was some purple, but it was TCU purple. So, you got to kind of figure out who you're dealing with here. But it's great. I'm watching the game right now, and I see that guy is back behind home plate. I think it was his dad that had tickets and always got him tickets. I remember I did a story with him the last time we were up here in 17. So good to see he's back. It's like an old pair of shoes, man, when you come up here. You remember all your old restaurants and where you used to get your beers, the roads that you need to take to get to the ballpark, where the best parking is, and all those things. So it's always great to be back in Omaha. I'm excited that this team did it. I don't think there was ever a doubt. It got a little shaky there, I'll be honest, towards the back half of the season. But, they found their footing, and I can't wait to see what they can do here.
Don't steal anybody's cell phone tonight, okay?
Telling you. Don't make yourself a target.
Thanks, Covel. Enjoy.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Michael Covel, Channel 2. He's a sports director up there. They'll be there as long as the Tigers are there. He mentioned that team meeting. Let me expound on that a little bit. I don't know what details Michael Covel got from that team meeting, and you can watch WBRZ tonight at 6 and 10 and see. I heard about that meeting. I heard about it regional weekend, and the sense I got is it was pretty emotional. I think that there was some intensity involved in it after the SEC tournament, and I think it was really, really productive. I had heard that from someone around the program. I hadn't talked about it on this show, but obviously some guys are starting to talk about it now, and the sense was they were not happy with how they were playing to finish the year. They were not happy with the Auburn weekend. They were not happy with Mississippi State weekend. They were not happy with a chance to play to win the conference against Georgia and not getting it done, and then losing 2 games in Hoover pretty quickly. And there were some words, and it sounds like things kind of were solved in that moment, and the guys pushed off the dock together, and they've played really well for the last 2 weeks. There's no doubt about that. So curious to see what Covel's unearthed from that, but I can tell you that I heard about it too, and that sounds like this team's really on the same page moving forward. So let's hope that translates to tomorrow when they play Tennessee at 6 o'clock. We'll transition away from baseball briefly here. Huge visitor on campus for LSU football. I think it's a really big deal. I'll tell you who it is next.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Charles Hannegriff, our Omaha home for the College World Series is the Ameristar Casino and Hotel in Council Bluffs, Iowa, just minutes away from downtown Omaha. Enjoy the only casino buffet in the area and a full sports book. Eat, watch, and bet at the Ameristar Casino and Hotel.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, huge visitor on campus for LSU football this weekend. I think this is a big deal. 5-star 2025 quarterback Bryce Underwood from Michigan is on campus this weekend. And I think that's important because it's an unofficial visit. He has paid his way down to Baton Rouge from Michigan. And it's the second visit he's made to LSU in the last 3 months from Michigan. This is not only the number one quarterback in the country for 2025, which means he will start his junior year in 2 months. Not only the number one quarterback, the number one player in the class of 2025 right now. And Joe Sloan has made this a significant priority, and it appears that that interest is being reciprocated. You tell me. Michigan's not real close to here. And he's been twice in 3 months, and it's not an official visit. So this is a big deal for LSU. Now, the nature of quarterback recruiting we know has changed. You're going to have transfers every single year, and most schools are going to be involved in that market. You're going to sign quarterbacks most every year, and sometimes they'll never play a snap for you. They're there for a year, and they're gone. Walker Howard, recruit. You get the commitment. Oh, what a huge deal. He shows up. He's running the scout team. All of a sudden, he's gone. So I'm not going to say that Bryce Underwood's about to commit to LSU and change the entire program and win 2 Heisman trophies. But what I'm telling you is LSU is getting involved with very high-profile out-of-state quarterbacks, and they're having success in doing so. Colin Hurley from over in Florida has committed. He's been a big champion for this recruiting class. He's reclassified. He will be a 2024 player, and Bryce Underwood would be the next year. And while it's always going to be a possibility for a school as high profile as LSU to dip into the transfer portal and get impact quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, like Joe Burrow, you want to keep that pipeline full. Quarterback, in my opinion, at this point, is a numbers game. You accumulate as many good ones as you can. You understand that some of them will not pan out. Some of them will transfer out, but some of them will hit. And so I don't always want to have to rely on Boston College, Cal, and Oklahoma State for my quarterbacks. I have that option. I don't want to rely on it all the time. But I'd also like to bring in high schoolers, because there is value in coming to a place out of high school, learning that system, learning the players around you, and spending a year or two in the system before you play. Now, it's not always going to work out because guys transfer. Like, I get the whole situation here, but I'm just saying it's a numbers game. And the more you can get in the pipeline, the better. And when I hear 5-star quarterback from Michigan visits, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit. When I read 5-star number 1 player in the nation from Michigan has come to LSU on his own dime twice in 3 months, that changes the conversation entirely. That means this is someone who is very seriously considering playing football at LSU. And I've watched the tape on Bryce Underwood. He's young. He's only a sophomore in this tape, but the arm strength is very good. He's got great speed. He is a dual threat quarterback who has put up awesome numbers in his home state of Michigan. There's footage of him playing in the Lions Stadium in a state championship. He's been fantastic in his first couple of years. As a freshman, he threw for almost 3,000 yards and 39 touchdowns with only 4 interceptions. He also ran for 6 touchdowns. Then in his sophomore year, they went 14-0. He threw for 2,700 yards, 37 touchdowns. So you got a guy who's incredibly productive, incredibly athletic, and a very, very high-profile recruit. And he's obviously very interested in LSU. If LSU could somehow get Underwood in the boat for the 2025 class, that is a momentum shifter. We've seen Colin Hurley be very, very vocal and very outspoken and very much involved in LSU filling out the class around him. Quarterbacks are generally that way. They've just got that way about him more often than not. He didn't end up playing quarterback at LSU, but Russell Shepard was very much a champion when he committed early, and he was going in for official visit weekends and hosting other recruits and basically selling LSU as, hey, come play with me. And when you get the number 1 player in the nation in your class, if LSU could find a way to do that, all of a sudden you get a lot more attention. Wouldn't top flight wide receivers like to know that that guy would be in their class? Wouldn't top flight running backs like to know that guy's going to be in their class? From that perspective, you're talking about, production on the offensive end, but from the defensive side, you want to come and win games behind the number 1 quarterback in the country. I'm connecting dots down the line here, but that's the reality of the situation. We've seen this play out before. So I think it's massive for LSU to have Bryce Underwood on campus. He's going to be here, according to the guys over at On3. Shea Dixon's been all over this. Going to be here until Sunday. Going to take a look at everything once again, and it feels like everything's moving in the right direction. I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you that I'm some sort of recruiting analyst or expert. I'm far from it. That's why we get Shea on. That's why we get Billy on. That's their corner of the store. But this is pretty easy to understand. Number 1 player in the country keeps flying across the country to come see you. That probably means he's interested. And I feel very, very good about that. So it's been a really, really good run in recruiting for Brian Kelly and this staff. The question that so many had, not does Brian Kelly know football, not can Brian Kelly win games, it was, does Brian Kelly know how to recruit in Louisiana? And we know that he's tried to put a wall up around Louisiana. It looks like he's going to potentially get the top 10 players in the state in this class. But he doesn't lose that national recruiting ability that he used for better than a decade at Notre Dame, where he was flying all over the place trying to recruit anybody he could find that could get into Notre Dame and play football at a high level. Now, you don't have to do that for everybody. You've got to take your top 15, 18 guys from the state, 14 guys from the state, 9 guys from the state, however many are good enough that year, and then you can cast that net a little wider to supplement the roster. And certainly going to Michigan to get the best player in the country would qualify as that. So big visit for LSU. Bryce Underwood. We'll get with Shea and Billy next week and see what the fallout from this big-time visit is. But it feels good for LSU to have that kind of recruit on campus. So Looking at the score up in Omaha, they have played 3 innings, and TCU has a 1-0 lead. I said there would be more than 40 home runs this year in the College World Series. We have seen our first. TCU with a big fly to lead Oral Roberts 1-0 in the opener of the College World Series. Tonight at 6 o'clock, it'll be Virginia and Florida. Tomorrow's 1 o'clock contest will be Wake Forest and Stanford, LSU and Tennessee, as you already know, at 6 o'clock tomorrow from Omaha. We'll have coverage of that game, obviously, on Eagle 98.1 if you want to listen to it. We'll also have Jimmy and Charlie on our airwaves at 104.5 and on Eagle 98.1 starting up at 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll hear from Skip Burtman. You'll hear from Chris Demui. You'll hear from Eddie Furness. They'll have a big old pregame show starting at 3 o'clock, running until 5:30, leading up into the network broadcast of the ball game tomorrow from Omaha, Nebraska. So this is a really, really fun time of year, and LSU hopes to hang around Omaha for quite some time. That journey starts tomorrow with Tennessee. Speaking of that game, let's talk more about it next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana like Corey Barr. Corey is our June champion of Louisiana. He's the owner and founder of Parish Restaurant, Standard Coffee Company, and Heritage Catering up in Monroe, Louisiana. That's where he was born and raised. As a chef, Corey focuses on honest dishes with a strong sense of place, for which he's earned national recognition. He was a Food Network Star finalist in 2017. He beat Bobby Flay. Food and Wine named him People's Best New Chef of America in 2015 and People's Best New Chef Gulf Coast in 2014. So Corey's got kind of a national brand. He's been all over the place, but he loves his home. He loves Monroe, and that's why he's a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, we want to tell their story. Go to lwcc.com/champions, nominate a champion of Louisiana so that we can tell you about folks like Corey. Maybe a nonprofit, maybe a company, maybe a person like Corey. We want to tell that story. So go to lwcc.com/champions. Corey Barr is June's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-26.
Charles Hannegriff, our Omaha home for the College World Series is the Ameristar Casino and Hotel in Council Bluffs, Iowa, just minutes away from downtown Omaha. Enjoy the only casino buffet in the area and a full sports book. Eat, watch, and bet at the Ameristar Casino and Hotel.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
TCU's ace Corey Klecker is dealing. He has shut Oral Roberts out through 4 innings of work. It's 1-0 TCU up there in Omaha, Nebraska. You want a Jell-O shot update from today at noon? LSU is in the lead, 659. TCU is 130 or so behind LSU. Wake Forest is about 200 behind LSU. Tigers out in front, and I think that lead will be there until LSU is sent home early, if that happens to be the case. If they're not, I think Tigers have a pretty good chance. Who's in last? You'd have to imagine Stanford is probably in last. Nope, Virginia. Come on, Virginia, you play today. Somebody's got to be out by the stadium. Have some Jell-O shots. But LSU does have the lead. I think some of the talking points that I've heard about this College World Series and about the way offense is going to be played up there, I think have been interesting. And Jimmy, who we had on at the end of hour number 1, said, hey, I think it plays similar to the Hoover Met. And I think some people would go, oh, she didn't play very well in the Hoover Met. They lost 2 games. They obviously, the offense wasn't very good there. That's a big concern. I would say, well, hold on. Because they scored 10 runs in the opener against South Carolina. And then they came back over the next 2 days, and they got 11 hits and 12 hits in those 2 games. Now, they left some guys on base, for sure, against Arkansas. They left some guys on base, for sure, against Texas A&M. And you've got to get the big hit when you need it. But it's not like they went up there and they're just a team that relies on the home run, and they couldn't get home runs in the Hoover Met, and so they couldn't score. Yeah, they only scored 4 runs in both games. I get it. But they got a lot of hits, and they had a lot of runners on base. They just left them on base. And that's where we get into the big discussion of, well, you got a clutch hit. You got to hit in the clutch. This team can't hit in the clutch. They got to hit in the clutch. They may hit in the clutch in Omaha, and they may not. But I promise you they didn't work on it today. And I promise you they're not bad at it. They're as good an offensive team as there is in college baseball. And I've used this quote many, many times, but I'll continue to reiterate it. Bad offenses don't leave guys on base. Good ones do. Bad offenses don't get guys on base. LSU gets guys on base as well as anybody in the country. They led the SEC in on-base percentage. They led the SEC in hits. They led the SEC in home runs. They led the SEC in runs. They are a complete offense. We saw this team on Saturday of last week hit 6 home runs. We saw them come back the next day, and every single person in the lineup got a hit. And Gavin Dugas, who I would say has not been nearly as good as he was early in the season as he has been late in the season, he's hitting about 320 over his last 8 games. Braden Jobert had a monster home run in the regional to basically win it late on Sunday night. You know what Cruz is. I think he got on base 9 times in 2 games last week. Tommy White had 2 monster home runs in game 1. Like, the point I'm making is, like, everybody in this lineup seems to be kind of moving in the right direction. I don't have to tell you about Travinsky. I don't have to tell you about Beloso's big home run last week. There's not a spot in this lineup where I look at it and go, man, that guy's not struggling, or that guy's struggling, or that you're not going to get much production from there. You 1 through 9 in this lineup feel like a team that is doing things the right way offensively. And you did that in the Hoover Met. You just didn't get the hits. You got enough hits. You didn't get them in the right spot. This team has not really hit an offensive lull all year. They haven't. There have been games, and that can do you in Omaha, but they haven't really hit a lull all year. The offense is not my concern. It's not they rely too much on the home run. It's not that they can't hit in the clutch. It's not that they're not going to be able to hit home runs. In the offense, I'm not really concerned with. I think they'll score. LSU's weakness relative to the field is the pitching staff beyond Skeens. And there's no doubt they have been better than they were in April. The low point was obviously the Mississippi State game where you blew a 9-run lead. But there are teams in this tournament, Florida, Wake Forest, Virginia, who have better number twos statistically than Ty Floyd. They do. You got Hurdle at Wake. You got Hurston Waldrop at Florida. Like they have better twos than Ty Floyd. And you may see Wake in game 2. And then the bullpen, LSU doesn't quite have Chase Burns. A guy that comes in throwing 102 that's closing games. Brandon Neely is the all-SEC closer from Florida. He's got double-digit saves this year. I like Gavin Guidry. I think Riley Cooper has thrown it great the last couple of weeks. I think Thatcher Hurd was brilliant in the regional after the rain delay. I'm not saying LSU has nothing there, but that's the Achilles heel. You know that. I obviously know that. That's where my concern is. It's not really on Saturday. I think LSU's got a great chance to win on Saturday. It's when you get to Monday. Can I trust Ty Floyd to go out there and give me 5 2/3 of 2-run baseball? Can I trust Riley Cooper to go out there against Wake or Stanford or Tennessee and be the guy he was last week? I hope so. I hope Nate Ackenhausen has his best with him. But the staff doesn't look as good as Wake's. It doesn't look as good as Florida's. It doesn't look as good as Tennessee's. The offense is good or better than anyone. The ace is better than everyone. The concern is the depth in the pitching, and is it enough? And you've heard a lot of people over the last week say they get in the loser's bracket, they're done. And they probably are. It's unlikely that LSU, after burning Skeens on Saturday and burning Floyd on Monday, would be able to win Tuesday and Wednesday against Tennessee or Wake and that staff with the arms that they've got. It's possible. They beat Oregon State in that situation with Caleb Gilbert on the mound at one point. So it can be done. You can hit your way through it. Now, Gilbert pitched really well in that game and got some help on the outside corner. But it can be done. That Oregon State team was 56-4, okay? And you beat them twice in 24 hours. But it's unlikely that LSU would do that. LSU's best chance in this thing is to win behind Skeens on Saturday, win behind Floyd on Monday, and then turn around on Wednesday and get it done with the bullpen in a non-elimination game for you. And then you show up Saturday with Skeens locked and loaded for the championship series. If you lose a game in the pool play, in the bracket play, Skeens would have to pitch on Thursday, and he would be essentially burned for the championship series. He might be able to give you a little bit of help on Monday in a game 3, maybe. But that's the new nature of this tournament. I mean, you remember the Florida series. LSU and Florida played for a national championship. Alex Faedo and Alex Lang sat on the bench for 2 days. If this doesn't work out for LSU next week, we'll be talking about the fact, I think, that they just didn't get enough outs. It's possible we talk about the offense going to the deep freeze. It did in 13, which everyone's did, and it did in 17. That's what happened to Oregon State. They just couldn't hit. Lang was brilliant against them, so was Hess, and then Gilbert came back and was the same thing. But I think the likely exit for LSU is because they just couldn't get the outs, and a team like Stanford or Tennessee or Wake outslugged them. But I think they got a good chance. I really do. I don't think they're the best team in the field. I think that Florida and Wake might be a little more complete than LSU. But I like LSU's chances. Because as I said to open the show, when I talked about Paul Skeens, I talked about these Tennessee offensive numbers, I talked about what he's been all year, I think you're going to get another great start tomorrow. And I think LSU is going to be in a really good spot moving into Monday. I'll tell you this. I'd really like it if LSU won on Saturday. One, because I obviously want LSU to win every time they play anything. But two, if they lose on Saturday, they're going to play at 1 o'clock on Monday. And I got things to do at 1 o'clock, and none of you are going to pay attention to them. So we're either going to have a monster show on Monday where we're reacting to a big win on Saturday. We're previewing a huge matchup to get into the winner's bracket. It'll be on fire on Monday. We'll be firing all cylinders. Y'all be listening. Y'all be watching. It'll be great. Or they'll be playing in the College World Series, and I'll be sitting here talking about Saints OTAs, watching the game on the TV. Which one of those things do you think I want to do? I don't want to sit here and watch the game while I'm talking about the Saints. I really would prefer if we could get a win on Saturday, moving to the winner's bracket. I don't know that the weather forecast is awesome. Surprise, surprise. Summertime, bad weather. But hopefully LSU and Tennessee can get it underway at 6 o'clock tomorrow. I love LSU's chances in the game. I think LSU will win the game. You want the Tennessee side of things. Ben McKee from Go Vols 247 was with us earlier in the first hour, kind of going over some things. TCU threatening again here in the bottom of the fifth inning, Beck. Does that look right to you? My eyes are just awful. Bottom of the fifth inning, TCU and Oral Roberts hit his 1-0 Horned Frogs. I did, when I was listening in the middle of the break, I was put on Twitter and heard the TCU player that hit the home run. They actually caught him in a little fun moment with the coach. They had Kirk Sarloos hooked up to the headphones, and the player who hit the home run walked over to him and was talking to the ESPN crew through his headphones, and he said the wind is blowing in today at Charles Schwab. So that's going to make hitting even more difficult if the wind's blowing in. And hitting's been difficult. They played 5 innings. It is 1-0 between TCU and Oral Roberts. We got one more segment to go here. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by Cork's. Listen to this incredible menu item. You don't get this at a lot of fast food restaurants, quick service restaurants. It's the baked potato, the same one you've gotten at Couillon's for years. It is fantastic. They top it with crawfish etouffee and then those fried jumbo Gulf shrimp. It is fantastic. I have eaten it. It is a great, great menu item. We know they've got the great catfish. We know they got the great shrimp. That baked potato with the crawfish etouffee on top is something serious over there at Cork's. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Get on by for a late lunch. We're pushing like afternoon dinner time now. So get on by Cork's and grab some delicious food. And tell them you heard about it on the Hunt Palmer Show. I know that Michael and Paul will appreciate that over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website. We'll come back and close it out next.
This is On Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The eve of LSU's return to Omaha. We'll have CWS updates and the Riot Radio Hours return. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I can't tell you I know everything there is to know about TCU baseball. I certainly don't. But Klecker was cruising right along. They're in the top of the sixth inning. He gives up a leadoff double in a 1-0 game. He's out of there. And give up a run. And they pulled their ace, the freshman Klecker. So we'll see if this pays off for the Horned Frogs. Oral Roberts threatening with the leadoff double in a 1-0 game. Up there in Omaha, Nebraska. All right, Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. The NBA suspended Ja Morant for 25 games in the aftermath of the second video on social media to feature him brandishing a pistol. This was the proper punishment for Morant. Take it or leave it.
It's really hard. I'll take it. I think it's fine. I don't want to. That's an unenviable spot. It's not like this is a clear-cut like law violation. But you don't have to break the law to get in trouble with your employer. This is obviously a bad look. It's the second time it's happened. He apologized, said it wouldn't happen again. It happened immediately. So there needs to be some sort of punishment. It just doesn't seem that difficult for me if you're Ja Morant. Just kind of chill a little bit with, putting guns on social media. You just not do that. Seems doable. But, yeah, I think it's fine. It's a lot of money to cost him without pay. The other piece to this that I don't know if the commissioner considers this or not. But I always think about the fact that when you suspend Ja Morant for a significant amount of time, you're also punishing all his teammates. And there's something to be said about that. You fine somebody, that's just money out of their pocket, they're being penalized. You suspend someone for a long time, you're penalizing the teammates by taking their best player off the floor, and that's part of the punishment. You let your teammates down with this kind of deal, and I get it, but I do see the other side of it. So 25 games, I think the Grizzlies can withstand that, and I think it's reasonable, so I'll take it.
Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl rings were unveiled yesterday, and they feature 613 diamonds along with 35 rubies. Super Bowl rings are getting out of control. Take it or leave it.
I think I'll take that. I think at a certain point, like in the 60s, 70s, were championship rings that you got from winning various championships, whether it's the World Series or the Super Bowl or semifinals. Were those like wearable rings?
Yes.
I feel like you could wear them at
They
that
were.
point. And now you have no chance. I've put on one of LSU's 2019 championship rings. You can't do it. It's massive. You couldn't do anything with that on your hand. And you certainly can't wear it. It looks ridiculous. I know, like, I was in a press conference once when Les was talking about rings, and they asked, like, when he wears them. He said he wears them when he does speaking engagements or recruiting. He'll put one on to go into somebody's living room, and obviously that carries a little bit of weight. But I think these were wearable at one point, and we've just totally lost the plot, and they're now, you just shove them in a drawer somewhere because they weigh 13 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a lot.
Yeah. LSU in the College World Series and the U.S. Open on Father's Day weekend. Take it or leave it.
I will take that. Big time. I will take the College World Series. Actually, my dad had a little procedure done yesterday. I had to put him under the steel with his lower leg, and all good. Went home yesterday and just had it all wrapped up. But he's like laid up for 2 days, and he's like, I'm gonna be just fine. I got baseball. I got baseball day and golf all day. I don't know if he planned it this way or not, but it certainly worked out. I think vasectomies like go through the roof for March Madness. Guys are just laid up watching basketball. So that's a really, really good deal. My wife asked me a couple of weeks ago, what do you want to do for Father's Day? And I was like, I don't really need to do anything. LSU might be playing baseball. There's going to be some golf on. We'll go to church, and I'll probably get up and maybe cook some lunch or something. Like we're not going to brunch or blowing it out or going to do something extravagant. Like I'll be at home. I'll be just fine. Just bring me a beer or something. That'll work. That'll work great. So yeah, I'm all in on this weekend. It's going to be it feels like a long. What do we got? 27 hours until LSU plays. That's going to be a long time. Thankfully, I got concert to pass some time tonight, but tomorrow be a long day. I'll have to work out some nervous energy somehow, some way. But it is a great weekend of TV watching for sure. I will take that.
All right, last one. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said he feels sorry for the Oakland A's fans as an impending move to Las Vegas seems inevitable. Manfred is being sincere. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think he is. It's a hard deal, and I'm not going to pretend to know what all goes into building stadiums with taxpayer dollars and private money and buying land and bids to move. I don't know how all that stuff works, and I'm not going to pretend to do so. I'm not going to criticize the business moves or whatever going on here, but I do feel awful for the people of Oakland who are losing another pro sports team. And you can say nobody goes, and you can say that it's the best thing or whatever, and every team left somewhere and went somewhere at some point in time, and that's all well and good. It doesn't change the fact that there are some people who are massive Oakland A fans. They may not go to every game. They may not go to a lot of games. It's expensive to go to games, but they care a lot. And to have that taken away from your city just is. I saw a guy, I think it was on the news, in tears. And like, I get it. I don't think that's pathetic or, grow up. I don't see it that way at all. Like, sports are a big deal. We care about sports. I think it's okay to get emotional about sports. And that just is devastating to have that team taken away, no matter what the business sense of it is. So that I hope he's sincere. I think he's sincere. I don't think he's like some kind of bad guy or some greedy mastermind, but he kind of went on in that quote to explain like there wasn't really another option here. They did not present anything to us that was reasonable in terms of them staying in Oakland. So they'll be headed to Vegas, and they'll be the Vegas A's. I feel like they should be the Vegas Aces, but A's either way. It's a bummer for those people in Oakland. I've said this last week, and it sounds stupid because it's apples to oranges, but like if they moved LSU like to Detroit, like it would just be a massive blow to my life. That's obviously can't happen. I understand how universities work and how pro sports teams work, but that's the only thing that is my hometown. So that's it for Take It or Leave It. TCU running a little high wire act here, trying to get out of a jam. They had a runner on. Oral Roberts had a runner on third with one out. TCU got an infield pop up. They're trying to get out of it in the sixth. It is TCU 1, Oral Roberts nothing in the College World Series opener. I want to remind you one more time here that tomorrow, Jimmy and Charlie will go live from Omaha at 3 o'clock p.m. Our coverage of Fighting Tiger baseball in the College World Series, powered by Rev Business. You can catch that show, that pregame show, at 3 o'clock on ESPN. Also simulcast on Eagle 98.1, and it will lead right up to 5:30 when Chris Blair, Doug Thompson, and Bill Franquez take over on the LSU Sports Radio Network. So appreciate Rev for letting Jimmy and Charlie hang out up in Omaha as long as the Tigers are sitting around there. So that'll do it here for our show on this Friday. Remember, Cork's Cajun fried fish and shrimp for all your catering. If you got parties or tailgate season's kind of over, but you need bulk orders for whatever the case may be, Corks can help you with that. Or if you just want to stop by and grab some dinner, it is fantastic. Love the folks over at Corks. They bring you our Friday shows. We opened talking LSU and Tennessee, the Vols starting Andrew Lindsey, and we went back and looked at the series from late March and April. And Ben McKee from Go Vols 247 joined us to talk about Tennessee. We chatted with Jimmy Ott at 1:45. Covel is up there in Omaha. We chatted with him at 2 o'clock. Big LSU football visitor Bryce Underwood on campus. That was our 2:15 segment. And then at 2:30, back to LSU and Tennessee and my thoughts on this College World Series as a whole. All right, we've done all we can do before the Tigers take the field. Let's hope they get it done on Saturday night, and we'll have some fun here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. Don't go anywhere. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We'll see you Monday.